Okay, so this is Matt. He worked with my professional team in Canada for like 3 years, and
Yep.
he's awesome. He worked with our team and helped myself and like us as a team get through a lot of mental things, and he taught us a lot. When it was, I think, 2015 was the summer games. Yeah, so
Games. Yep. Yep.
2015 we went way up north in Alberta and had summer games, and he came with us and worked with all of the like provincial teams for our like province for Alberta, and so he just like works with all the teams and helps them, and it was really cool experience, and yeah, he's awesome.
All right, thanks, G.
Well, the bar is very high now.
So thank you for doing this. When I had first told Tia that we were going to start doing stuff like this, you were the first person. She said I needed to see if you'd be willing to do it, and thanks for being so willing to
Wow, thank you.
jump in on this. I do know with the Alberta teams and specifically Tia, you did have a large impact. So really appreciate you taking the time to speak to our team. So with that,
Well, thank you for having me.
I'll turn it to you.
Awesome.
And they all do have pillows.
How does he?
They
Outstanding.
were excited to bring pillows to practice. They weren't sure what we were doing.
Well, that's the biggest thing about the psychological side of the game is you have to have sort of a propensity for curiosity. And so if all of a sudden someone says, oh, and by the way, bring pillows, you go, oh, wait. So hopefully we become all cynical and doubtful now. That's great. Thank you for the introduction. I appreciate it. I know about me though, and to be honest with you, I'm the least interesting person in the room. The most interesting people in the room are the people that I get to look at through the screen, and so I am interested to hear, and I just want to go around. I know it's dark, so hopefully I get a quick wave or a little bit of a smile so I can hear from you. But I want you to introduce yourself. I printed off a roster here to help me kind of get an idea in my mind of who I'm speaking with, but I always want to know something about an athlete because my philosophy in my practice is that I never meet the same athlete twice. Okay? And the reason why I say that is because any opportunity you have to make an impact to improve yourself as an athlete is 100% in your hands. And so if the start of this session to the end of this session, if you take one or two things out of here and go, you know what, I'm going to be a better athlete because of this, then you're a different athlete. You've changed. If you've gone to practice and, you know, you had a hard grinded out practice and you come out and you shake your head and you say, that wasn't a very good practice. That was a hard practice. I wasn't hitting anything. You're missing an opportunity to really see the fact that you just ground out a hard practice, and maybe, you know, resilience is the skill that you've come out of that practice with, and now as a result, you're a different athlete. So I like having an athlete whose mind is always engaged. You know, moods obviously fluctuate based on performance and satisfaction and those kinds of things, but that's kind of my philosophy. So I'd like you to go around and just introduce yourself, and I want you to tell me one thing that you love about basketball. Not enjoy, love about playing basketball. Okay? Name and one thing you love about playing basketball. And go.
Go ahead, Carson. Let's start over there and just work our way across.
I'm Carson, and something I love about basketball is how it's a team sport and everybody has to work together.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Carson.
I'm
Tia.
Something I love about basketball is either when I make a three or get an and one or something, and I hear my team and like the crowd just like cheering super loud.
All right. Excellent.
I'm Mackenzie.
I'm Mackenzie.
And one thing I love is that you can just bond with people over different places. Like if they play basketball and they like the sport, that you just bond with people from other places if you don't know them over the sport.
Jordan?
I'm Jordan. I like the thing that I love the most about basketball is that no matter like what game it is or at any given point in the game, it's like so exciting and intense. It's like, especially if your team, like you know, your team is working always.
Awesome.
Speak up.
Okay.
I'm Elena, and I really love the competition. I think it's fun.
Sure, Bella.
Okay.
I really like cheering. I like to scream. I'm Mary. My
What is it
favorite
that you like?
I like cheering.
Cheering.
When I'm on the bench, like screaming. Yeah.
Okay.
Cheering when I'm on the bench. Yay! I'm Mary. My favorite part is sprint.
Mary.
Best I can. I'll make you a layup. I can. I can.
Did you hear that?
No. I heard sprinting. That's all I heard.
I'm Mary, right here. And my favorite
I'm
part
Mary.
is sprinting down the court and making a layup.
Oh, okay. That makes way more sense. Okay.
It's 10 o'clock.
Kimmy,
What?
Oh, I'm Kimmy,
speak loud.
and I like the intensity and like getting my anger out. And the environment.
She said she liked the intensity and getting her anger out.
Getting anger out. We'll talk more about that in a sec here. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Queen.
I'm Nancy. I'm Nancy. I love stealing the ball from the other team.
Okay. Awesome. Okay.
I'm Corinne, and I love basketball because it can distract me from other things that are going for
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Holly, and I love the
Adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
I'm Annecy, and I like basketball because Troy Bolton played.
There's some backstory to that comment, I'm sure.
So I just really like Zac Efron.
That's a lot of work just for a passion like that, but okay.
Yeah.
I'm Lenise. I love the intensity and the environment.
Intensity environment, okay.
I'm Belle. I love how when you work hard, you leave a better person.
Did you hear that?
All right. Yeah, work hard, better person.
I'm Angie,
Yep.
and I love the team spirit and like being close to the team.
I didn't hear
Her
I didn't
last
hear the
part,
last part.
she said, and I'm from Germany. She's an exchange student. We're frozen if you can hear us.
I wonder if you're good.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, listen, guys. Okay, you're not frozen anymore.
Okay.
And that's
You
everybody.
guys are frozen, but I can still hear you. Okay. Awesome. So lots of passion, lots of love, lots of, I guess I hear team as well, which is a big thing. I would hope it is a big thing, is a sort of, a joke with some people that if belonging and being a part of a team isn't important, and, individual sports are more of a passion. And so, I mean, obviously we want to be a part of a team, but teams are they're dynamic things. They require a balance. As anybody knows, they require a balance between sort of individual objectives and meeting team goals. And Tia mentioned in 2015, going into a game, a lot of times we think about sports psychology as something that, we do in competition only. And, I worked with that team for 4 months before that. And, in some of the other situations, for example, Team Alberta that headed into Canada Summer Games this past year, I worked with for 2 years. Team Canada volleyball I work with for 4 heading into 2020. So there's a lot of process to it. It's no different than your work in the gym every day. And as I said, I want athletes whose minds are as involved as their bodies. They don't just go and they go through the quote unquote motions. I like athletes that are goal directed. And when they're goal directed, they're more apt to kind of reach their outcomes. So I just want to hear just a couple of things. What are some of the challenges about being part of a team?
You have to trust.
Say it louder.
You have to trust.
You have to trust.
You have to adjust?
Trust.
Oh, trust. Yeah. Yeah. Trust. Okay. Yeah. Anything else?
Drama.
Drama.
Drama. Is that an objective? Like the team sits down and says, let's see if we can generate a ton of drama.
No, I think
That was a trick question. But it does come up, right? Absolutely, right? Because we're people.
Tia,
Yep.
what were you gonna say?
I think like especially with teams like that haven't worked with each other in the past, just trying to like adjust to everyone's personalities and like trying to figure out how you can treat one person like compared to another person, and just like trying to like create that team bond that isn't there because you haven't been there like in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So adjusting to personalities, being able to be flexible. Yeah.
I think to go along with adjusting with personalities, also adjusting with like your level of skill in basketball. Like you have to be patient with each other because not everyone is as skilled as everyone like as other people. So being patient as well as hard.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that's a good point because it's patience with development. I mean, on teams, coaches are the ones with the tactics and the techniques and to come to practice, but it's really the players that are going to be going to execute. And if a player is executing poorly, it's going to impact the other teammates. So, if we come to practice with less effort than we're capable of demonstrating, then we're going to have an impact. There's going to be a ripple effect in the team. So, anything else? Any other additions? We had trust, drama, adjusting to personalities, patience for skill and development. Right. So we'll roll with those ones for the time being. If others come up, make sure you mention them. So as I said, I think it's finding a balance between individual objectives and sort of team objectives. And one of the things that I, maybe sometimes as a coach football, I coach swimming. I spend a lot of time working with coaches now and try to help with what we call sort of role clarity and role acceptance. So we think of roles when we step on a team, we think of a position, and in that position, here are the demands of that position. If I'm a point guard, there's certain skills that have to come along with it, but there's also certain mental and emotional skills that come along with that position. So we take the term position and put the term role in. That's where we see almost this interaction between individual goals and team objectives. So it's not necessarily whether just because the person can dribble a ball and pass well that they're going to be successful. So we want to kind of do something a little bit. We're going to look at that kind of role clarity topic and title and talk a little bit more about it. So I need one volunteer. One volunteer. Okay, we got one. Perfect. Come on up. Did you bring the pillowcase, Coach?
Yeah.
Okay. So who just came off the ground? I can't quite see clearly. Who's my volunteer?
Elena.
Elena. Okay, Elena, hop up. You got to be standing with your team. Okay, so what we're going to do, Elena, we got a pillowcase now. Lena's got a pillowcase. Lena, did you bring a pillow?
Yeah.
Okay, Elena, can you stuff your pillow in that pillowcase? Did you show your team your pillow? Let's see that pillow.
This is my pillow, Pat.
It's a little stitch.
It's Stitch. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Okay, so put Stitch in the pillowcase.
Suffocate him. Okay, go.
So interestingly, not one of you mentioned compassion, but clearly compassion is a strength on this team, as everybody's sad about Stitch suffocating in the pillowcase. So, okay, so you got Stitch in there.
Yeah, he's in.
Okay, so choose another teammate. Yeah, choose another teammate's pillow. Grab another teammate's pillow.
This is Sully.
Sully. I'm just teaching my 3-year-old son about Sully. It's awesome. Stuff Sully in there. Him and Stitch hanging out. Stuff him in there. Get him in there with Stitch. Pile him in.
Oh my gosh,
That's mine. Okay.
Okay, we got Stitch and Sully. They're in the pillow. Okay, grab another one.
Okay. The pig. This is a pig. It's a baby
Does
pillow.
the pig have a name?
What's his name? Oh, Spider Pig.
Mary named it Spider Pig.
Spider Pig. Awesome. Okay, stuff Spider Pig in there.
Wait, what is Spider Pig?
Did I write my name on here? Yeah. That was such a...
So I got Stitch, I got Sully, I got Spider Pig, all S's. Interesting.
Oh.
Okay. And not one person was concerned about Sully or the Spider Pig suffocating, but a lot of compassion for Stitch. So, okay.
Stitch is special.
Gotcha. Okay, so grab another teammate's pillow. We got 3 pillows in there. Go ahead. Find another one.
It doesn't have a name.
Toss it up. Sally. Oh, dang.
Its name is Ocean. Ocean.
Where are you going?
Did you
Elena?
Where'd she go? She just needs more effort still. She has to put it on the chair.
Where'd you go? I can't see her.
Okay.
What are you doing way over there? Okay. What were you doing way over there?
It's pretty good.
Chair.
You're using a chair
Oh.
to put the pillow on.
Oh,
My
using
bad.
the chair? Okay. All right. So we got Spider Pig, Stitch, Sully,
And this-
mystery pillow.
Mystery.
Okay. So let's get one more. Let's get in there. Let's get another one.
No, it's really.
Get another pillow.
That's like all the
Hey.
Yeah.
That's fancy.
Can I see that? What's that pillow?
That one's fancy.
Can I see that pillow? Ooh, fancy. It is fancy.
All the
What's
animals.
It's
like at the bottom, like
Did you hear it?
Yeah.
No.
Good job, Lena.
I got it.
All right, you got it. We got the mystery pillow, the 2 mystery pillows, Spider Pig, Stitch, and Sully all comfortably in the case. Let's grab another one. Let's get one more in there.
Okay, I got this.
Holly.
No, I was-
Holly, there's a little flag.
Holly.
Ollie, toss it up.
Mine will fit.
It's flat and plated.
You too.
He's like, no one's touching.
Oh, babe.
Do you want one more? I can do one more.
You got how many? You got how many in there? 6? Yeah, let's go. Let's go one more. Let's get one more in there.
Yours is
Hurry.
gonna be able to smudge.
Oh, use that thing.
Yeah.
Dots.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Sticker.
She was like, I would do anything for this sheet, but
Oh, I'm at
you're
Shoot, wait, I want Jordan's.
Just go, 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 go.
I can't feel how thick it is.
Do it.
It's like,
Just do it. You got it.
You got it, Lena.
Oh, get that one in there. You can get that one in there. Get that one in there.
Come on.
keep moving.
Go.
Come on, Lena.
Yes.
Push it, let's go.
It's like, what is it for?
Just get it in there.
It's a killer.
Sure.
I can hold it. Have it in. You can do it.
How come you keep disappearing out of the computer screen? Where are you going?
She's trying. She had to put.
It's a
the chair on
struggle.
the table. Yes, Lena. Too easy. Oh,
Oh,
it's
no?
in there.
Don't rip
Don't
it.
rip
Kind
it.
of stuff in her.
It's like kind of.
Okay.
It looks like a mouth. Like.
Okay, so now we've got 4 mystery pillows and 3 named pillows in there. Is that right?
Yeah.
We have 7 pillows.
Okay,
No,
that's 7 pillows in there.
Eat.
Is there, Elena?
Yes.
Is there a pillow? Is there a pillow in the room that you can see that you feel that might still be able to fit in there?
Yeah.
Tia's pillow.
Mine is actually.
I don't know how.
That is
Compare yours to
Give it
Jordan.
to Jordan. Yeah, Jordan's is flat.
Yeah, but I.
Mine is really squishy. Mine is really don't let it hit the ground.
Oh.
Just put it down in the kitchen.
Dude, there's
Throw
a lot
it.
of ribbon in it.
Throw it.
Pillow.
Yeah.
You like the pillow or the pillow?
Oh, man. Bro, where'd you get your pillow?
What?
No!
It's your You.
It's full.
Oh, no, you got this.
Where is Elena? Is Elena left?
Sorry, Coach. You just took your pillowcase.
I'm so
Hey,
sorry.
Coach, I can fix that.
I'll call my mom.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
What happened?
I picked it up.
It ripped.
He just
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Now I have to send Coach money. Okay, so Elena, just hold that pillow up. Just hold that up for the rest of the team to see. Okay. So, yeah, nice work. Yeah. Okay. So a couple things, Lena, you did a great job. Stay there though. Don't go too far. I'm curious. Those players in the room whose pillow is in the case, do you feel they're engaged in the activity as those whose pillows are represented in the case?
Yeah, because they were laughing and having fun with it too.
Okay, but not really because our pillows aren't in there.
Yeah, but are you having fun? Are you having a lot of fun?
I had so much.
Are you crazy excited?
Yeah,
but our pillows
I think they're like the bench cheering us on.
I feel like knocking on your face. Sorry.
Okay, listen, guys.
Oh, whoa.
So, so what I hear is that you guys got a great kick out of Elena trying to get pillows into this case. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Elena, how are you doing? Was it as easy on the 4th and 5th and 6th and 7th ones as it was on the first one?
I don't know. They were all pretty easy until I got to the last one. Like the last 2, like this one and then.
They were all pretty easy?
Yeah.
Until
She
the
said-
end.
I'm going to ask your teammate.
What?
What was that?
Sorry.
It was good until the very end. Like trying to get this one was a little rough, and then trying to put in Tia's, that made it was hard.
Okay. So my question was, the first one, you did not need the chair. At what point in time did you require the chair as assistance?
Oh, it was just, yeah, it was just easier to hold it. So, like the 3rd or 4th.
easier to hold it. Okay, so it became a little more challenging. You used an assistance to get the pillows into the case.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number 6, number 7, you disappeared. I couldn't even see what you were doing. You kind of went over to the other side of the room.
The chair was moving, so I pushed it against the table so it would stop. Because I need more
Yeah, so the chair, the chair was moving, so you pushed it against the table. So I'm curious, Elena, you were making decisions on pillows early just based on type, right? Whoever's pillow happened to be there, just grab this one. Towards the end, there were a couple things, the last kind of 2 or 3 pillows. You guys were making some decisions based on the type of pillows. What was some of the feedback that you guys had based on the pillows that were being chosen?
We wanted like thin and flexible.
Small, flat,
Mm-hmm.
deflated.
Did I hear depleted?
Yeah.
Deflated.
Deflated. Thin, small, flexible, deflated. What's a deflated pillow? I don't know what that means.
Oh, the white one in here is pretty deflated. You want to see?
Well, hang on 2 secs. Don't unpack them just yet.
Oh.
Okay. So you came up with characteristics that were needed by the time the pillowcase was stretching, but early on it just didn't really matter. It was just whatever pillows fit, right?
Uh-huh.
The cute one.
It was the cute ones.
Yeah, those are the starters.
The cute ones. Those are the starters. Just for the sake of argument, do you think Stitch is suffocating?
Stitch.
Yes!
Stitch. Yeah,
Yes!
I think he's holding on. He just needs some.
I forgot.
I think the rib might have helped him.
Yeah.
Oh,
You gotta try to help him. Okay.
so he's hurt.
So I'm gonna write down compassion. This team is clearly compassionate. They really do. So I want you to unpack those pillows, but just unpack one at a time, return it to a player. Unpack one at a time, return it to a player.
You're holding.
Is that one the deflated one?
Show me the
Deflated.
It's deflated.
That's deflated?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's not even a pillow.
I got it for like $2.
He's connected to the pillowcase.
Stitch.
They found it.
He's holding
Yes!
Yeah!
Frank.
Frank.
We're Gucci.
I'm also very impressed with the amount of satisfaction that you got from stuffing pillows into pillowcases. That was excellent. Very good job. So, can I get a round of applause for Elena? She did a fantastic job of stuffing pillows in pillowcases.
I know. Should I sit down?
Okay, so I just want to. Yeah, you can sit down. Sorry. So those girls in the room whose pillows did not get chosen, I just want you to put them up in the air. Just quick scan. So just to show, just keep going. I can't see this one side as where Tia is sitting there on the couch. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Okay, so Elena,
Yes.
what made you not choose those pillows?
Well, Carson's like really nice too, and I didn't want to like push it all up against everybody else's. Like, look how white it is. The same thing. A later time. You know, a later time. These look really thick.
Yeah.
A lot of the other ones just seem really thick, like with 3.
And the don't be wrong.
And then Tia, she just didn't want to give it up, but she did. And then Jordan's was thick too, so it was just off of their size. And Carson's loads.
Yeah. So you made decisions. You're making decisions based on our objective, and our objective was what? What was our objective?
Stuff as many pillows in there as you can.
Yeah. Did we know we were going to do that? No. It became obvious after the second one that we were going to start stuffing pillows. And as we started stuffing 2, we didn't have any problem. 3, used on number 4, we started using the chair for leverage. Number 5, we pushed that same chair against the wall. We kept stuffing. It required more effort to get those pillows in the pillowcase, didn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this sort of this activity, and we'll talk about it in a debrief way here in a second. But I just also want to give you a little bit of perspective when we think about a game, a competition, okay, that everybody in that room has a unique pillow. Everybody brought a pillow that's unique to them. Some people may just grab one off the couch and said, I want to grab this. Others really thought, and so this is a special pillow, or this is a unique pillow, this is a fun pillow. But most pillows are different in the room. And in them being different, every single one of those pillows is unique, and it's important that it's unique because each and every player in the room is also unique. Okay? And when a coach has only enough space for 5 pillows at any given time, this is one of those things that comes along as far as role clarity and role acceptance. But in between clarity, which is up here, and acceptance, which is over here, is that space where conflict occurs. And conflict for a player on a team, or conflict for a player for a team or with a team, I think is one of the healthier things, because when a player is unique, which every single girl in the room is unique, and you have that understanding of yourself in the context of playing basketball, and that's fantastic. I think it's important. I think individual goals are important. I think that uniqueness is important. The characteristics, the traits that you bring to the team are all exceptionally valuable. How clear they are for everybody else is what makes it a challenge on a team. As we said, trust, drama, adjusting to personalities. We made decisions based on the characteristics of a pillow as to which ones we were going to start to stuff into that case. A coach has to make decisions based on the characteristics of the player as to when it is that they get to put them into a game. And a lot of times that conflict that occurs on a team is about a player seeing their unique characteristics and feeling like they have something to offer. And a coach seeing those same unique characteristics, acknowledging that they have something unique to offer, but because there's only 240 available minutes in a game, only so many minutes are doled out. But in a practice, there's no pillowcase. Every single player is unique. If you had to write, we could do that. When I ask athletes what it is that they're good at in sport, what they love about the game, what they play for, their motivations, their strategies for achieving those motivations, all of that comes to the table at the same time on a team. Does that make sense? Okay. So when players make a team, you get gear, you get jerseys, you get logos, you get emblems, you get all those things, and the team's objectives are all on the table, and every single player brings every single characteristic that they have available to them and puts it out in front of the team. And just like Elena, her responsibility was to try to stuff them all in there, get them all stuffed in there. But the level of effort to get them all in there to represent it's going to go up. It's always going to go up, and to a point where, unfortunately, my apologies there, Coach, but the pillowcase ripped. The team's ripped.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. Not all teams do, but it's not whether or not we have that conflict between role clarity and role acceptance. It's does that conflict rip the team? Does it become more important to try to get every single pillow jammed into that available space? Or does the team, all of you girls in the room, prioritize the unique characteristics for when you are practicing to continue to build on those unique characteristics? So I want to paint a picture for you for a second here. That if on game day, instead of people sitting in those chairs, there are pillows sitting on the chairs. And in some cases, we might need, I think some of the words you guys used were thin, flexible, small, deflated. If I took you to a store and I said, okay, ladies, here is a thin, flexible, small, and deflated pillow available for purchase, are you making that purchase?
No, probably not.
I got a couple people shaking heads, other people going, why am I going shopping for pillows? Okay. Why would I buy a thin, flexible, small, deflated pillow?
If you want to stuff a lot of them in a pillowcase, I don't see that.
Yeah.
Speak up louder.
Yeah.
If you want, like, if your objective is to stuff a lot into a pillowcase, then you buy it, but there wouldn't be another point.
Yeah. So if I'm individually going to go shopping for a pillow, I'm probably not going to buy a thin, flexible, small, deflated pillow. I'll buy a fluffy, big, honking pillow. But if my need changes, then I'm going to buy what I need. So take it out of the pillow context, put it in the player context. I'm going to do what it is that I need to do in order to fulfill my role. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Some people nodding, couple. Is it unclear for some? I got some people laying on pillows in the back. There's very comfortable pillows. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. So I saw a couple things in Elena. After, I think it was the third pillow, she said something when the fourth one came up to the front of the room. She said something quite positive that you'd want to hear your teammates say in moments of challenge. What'd she say?
Do you know what you said?
I don't know, it just comes out. I say, let's go, Bella, when I ask for her pillow.
All right. And then what did you say when you got the pillow?
What did I say?
You can't whisper.
This is why this is my job. What did you say?
I don't know, what did I say?
So, okay. So you guys mentioned trust as one of the biggest things. And sometimes when we think about trust, we do things, like we'll do a trust fall, or we'll do, we'll like explain something to one another that's a little deeper than maybe just surface stuff. And we want to build trust and want to know how. Okay. But we had one player stuffing a pillowcase. We had one player contributing their pillow. And the second that she received it, her quote was, "I got this."
Great.
What did that do for the players in the room when she said to the room, "I got this"?
Gave us confidence.
Yeah,
that
we
she
did
was
a
gonna do
trust
it.
for it.
Yeah, it gave you confidence. There was trust that she's got this. And then she immediately turned to a chair, leaned on the chair, and went to town. Now, you didn't get to see because she was on a chair, but imagine it was something similar to this process occurring. So when she said, I got this, and then she turned around to the room, what did she do after the fourth pillow?
Is that what I said?
What'd you do?
Did I hold it up?
Yep. Yeah. You showed everybody that you got this. So says, I got this, stuffs the pillow in, turns around, arms in the air. Everybody goes, woo! And just think about this for a second, girls. You guys all cheered for Elena's ability to stuff a pillow into a pillowcase.
Thanks, team.
But listen, I mean, this is the value of the work that I get to do, is that it's not going to be difficult to transfer that kind of achievement and that kind of excitement, that kind of energy for someone else if I know what it is that they're striving for individually in practice and what it is that they're working hard to do. And if Lena says, you know, there's the fourth pillow, here's the challenge, our objective is to stuff them all in, and she stuffs it in, she turns around, she shows success, and everybody goes, outstanding. Doesn't that build trust?
Yeah.
Okay. And in that little moment right there, that little tiny moment, girls, if she turns and goes, I did it, and throws the pillow up in the air and everybody goes, whatever.
Oh, that was I'd probably go home. I feel so bad.
Little dejected, okay? Not really excited to keep trying. May have actually impacted her effort to do number 5, number 6, and number 7, but she didn't. Little tiny moments like that are how that role clarity comes for Elena. She took on the role that she was given. You guys challenged her with pillows. You helped her, even though you weren't involved directly. There was lots and lots of feedback while she was making decisions on what it was that she needed to do. So while your pillow may not have been involved in it, you were. When an athlete is maybe only focused on, if I'm holding my pillow and I'm thinking, well, my pillow's never going to fit in there, I'm not going to get to play the game, I'm missing an opportunity to find a way for my skills to be involved. And there's one of those moments where conflict occurs. An internal conflict, not necessarily team conflict, but the buds of internal conflict occur from that moment because my mind is on something of exclusion, not finding a way for inclusion. And even though Elena was the only one involved, she could not have done it without your work. Okay? Now, there was, I don't remember which pillow was it. It was number 6 or number 7. I think there was a comparison between two pillows. I think they were talking to Carson and Tia, I think, Elena. Was it Carson and Tia you were talking to?
Oh, Jordan and Tia.
Jordan and Tia.
Or Jordan and Tia. Okay. So there was a comparison, and you even used the word, okay, just compare. That one's more squishy, that one's more small. I think that one's smaller. Just hold them up and compare, okay? That was a terrific metaphor. See, I could never have predicted that occurs. But so often in role clarity for teams, and when players are in situations where they're in comparison situations, so if we're both playing or we're both competing for point guard, and her and I are against one another rather than with one another, then I may have an opportunity where I'm better than her, she's better than me, it says I'm better than her, I should start. We get into that spinning, and now the objective or the focus is no longer on the role and how good that role can be for this team. Now it's on individuals and individual comparison. So what seems like we want or desire a competition, what we really want is collaboration. Because in that one situation, pillow number 6, we needed these traits. If we had backed that up, Elena, to being pillar number 1 or number 2, would that level of work gone into comparing?
Not at the end. Right.
First
What's
two,
that?
Oh,
were you comparing the first two pillows?
Yeah, if it,
no, I just grabbed two that were missing.
absolutely. Okay, it's well said. So when times of stress occur on any team at any time, it's usually related to the comparison part. And if I'm a player on my team and I view the role that we have as point guards, or the role we have as threes, or the role we have, it's not necessarily whose position it is, but it's that we are filling that role. And if we're trying to fill that role, then there might be 2 or 3 people looking at the traits of that role. What's needed for the team? How do we do this well? Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? So the clearer that is, the less likely there is conflict between role clarity and role acceptance. Players are more apt to accept a role if they have some choice in the matter. And so here's one of the goals that I want you to write down and always keep in mind as an athlete. Okay? That you always have a choice. That should be your goal anytime in your mind that you feel there's some conflict. Okay? And I don't mean conflict with another person, I mean inner conflict. Okay? So I'll give you an example from my own athletic background. And you know, I played college football, and when I got into camp, there was an existing starter who was really, really good friends with everybody else, and I was a rookie. I was a freshman, but I was an older freshman. I came into university at 20, not at 18, and so I was the same age as the guy that was starting. So it seems as, well, you're new. Your job is you're the second or third string defensive back. You're not the starter. You won't be the starter. And through 3 weeks of camp, the stats that I was putting up were much, much, much better than the starter. But because the starter had been, well, it's my time now, I'm next, I'm the one who should be doing this, then he just kept taking starting reps. He kept taking starting reps, kept taking starting reps. And I felt like I still had a choice. I continued my effort because, well, there's obviously no reason for me to keep trying. I'm not going to get that starting position. Or I can just keep playing the way that I want to play, and I'll let things fall out the way that they fall out, and coaches can make their decisions. But one of the things that I overlooked was that I was adversarial with the other guy rather than being collaborative, rather than being a teammate. I felt like he had my position and he was in my way, rather than the two of us continuing to improve, because there are ways I saw the game that he wasn't seeing. And instead of trying to push and make him better, I just kept my information to myself. And that was something that I overlooked as a player that I really wish I knew and had thought out. He and I were good friends later on in life, but at that time, I just saw him as an adversary rather than a collaborative partner in this game. And that didn't work out well, because when they made the decision on the very first game for me to start, I was immediately disliked by all his friends. That buddy system rather than player competency got in the way of us being an effective team. Okay? And I still look back on that situation and say, you know, there are things that we were in our control that we made decisions not to do that impacted our ability to perform well. And to me, that doesn't make any sense now. As a player, it seemed to make sense at the time because I didn't know any other way of thinking. And like I said, I didn't feel like I had a choice. You always have a choice. And if the team objectives are as important as individual objectives, then you will have a choice. So as I said, role clarity gets closer to role acceptance, then players who feel like they have no choice will usually stop at some point in that middle ground and stay in conflict. And in some cases, like we said with the pillows, that conflict rips the team. It rips the case. It tears down the objectives. So anytime you walk into practice, you're thinking to yourself, what are my traits? What makes me unique? I want you to have those individual goals. I encourage every athlete to have those individual goals. And I encourage every athlete to communicate those goals to the coaches so that the coaches know exactly what the athlete's working on that day. And the coach can be laser specific and laser focused on what it is that the player needs feedback for. And if there are things the player is working on that are in conflict with the role that the team needs from that player, then the coach can intervene much earlier, or the leadership can intervene much earlier and assist that player in making better decisions. Like you guys did with Elena. She just didn't grab a pillow and say, no, bring it. She asked you guys. She got feedback from you. She heard you. She took the pillow that you offered her, and she put her best effort into it. Isn't that what you asked from your teammates?
Yeah.
And so there's a goal right there. There's a team goal. Every day you're together. Take that whole process that you just went through with a pillow and make it a team objective every day. Practice that type of team objective every day. You'd be surprised how little conflict actually occurs when teams make deliberate objectives like that and prioritize them every day. One of the last things that we noticed in the situation, okay? You guys said trust, drama, adjustment to personalities, and patience for skill and development. Did we meet those objectives in the pillow stuffing activity? Did we see all four of those?
I think so.
Sorry? Yeah?
Yeah.
Is there some? Oh.
You froze on
You
us
there?
there for a bit. You froze for a bit. Can you hear us?
Oh. Yeah, I can hear you. Did we overlook one of those goals?
Did we overlook one of those goals?
Trust. Do we have drama? No? Do we have positive drama? Do we have excitement, enthusiasm, laughter?
Yeah.
See, we assume drama as a negative, right? I'm a big fan of comedies, but do we have patience for skill and development?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's only one thing I feel like we're missing. And I want to see, okay, so you ready? I want to see the girls whose pillows were not involved in the first round. I want to see those pillows get into that pillowcase. So, Elena, choose one person to stuff.
What? I'll stop. Okay, Ansie's gonna stop.
All right, Nancy, step up.
You say step up.
Okay, pillowcase in. Annecy,
Ansi.
gonna stuff?
Yeah.
Nancy? Okay, my apologies.
You're fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do the pillows that we didn't get in there.
This thing is you.
I know, I got this bill forever. That's all that's gonna fit.
Yeah, she went to the
She's already at the table.
Yeah, already did Carson. Hey, wait, who all has to go still?
Give me the Carson.
Give Carson. Wait, Bell's is pretty small. We could probably work with a lot.
Stretch it. You got it.
Do y'all think you're going to sleep?
It's not that bad.
I did.
No.
Steve Bundy.
You slept on that pillow too.
Oh, bruh. No, big pillow.
Oh,
You only got two.
Oh,
no,
no,
we're
wait.
good. We're good.
Oh, no,
We're good.
You're Gucci.
Okay, next one.
Come on, one more. Job.
Courage.
Number 4.
Nice
catch.
The hands. So.
My dad's with us on.
Don't rip that board.
Yeah, or else you'll have to pay.
Sorry, coach.
Next call.
Kimmy will probably.
Kimmy's just tiny.
You got it.
Why did you do it the first time?
Oh, that's okay.
Other
Set
side.
it all onto one side and then balls can go on the other one.
This one can go in.
And then more.
You got it.
Yeah, right there. Good job.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna
Over
rip it.
it.
You can just
Use
stick
it
your finger.
for-
You
got
got
it.
it. We've been working out.
You're doing great.
We've been working.
So push it before.
How many-
Push-ups.
How many more pillows are there?
How many? I think there's only 2 more.
Tia and Belle?
Miss it.
Oh!
You got
Just
this.
lay him on
It's
top.
trying to figure out like where it could possibly go to like that. It's like it's like.
Just as long as
Okay. Gotta there she goes.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding.
Someone help her.
Let's go, Ancy. Hey. Yeah.
Oh, you're clapping out.
Right on. In 10.
Wait, what if someone
Okay, it's technically it.
Okay, last one.
Yeah, one more.
You can put it inside my. Put it inside Tia's.
Tiny.
Put it inside my pillowcase. Just don't let it touch the ground.
Oh, it's on the table.
Bunch of
Wash.
them.
Oh my gosh.
Don't ever wash it. And that's really good.
That's what that was.
There's a rip in it.
It was not for me, Joe.
It was.
Oh man.
Now take one pillow.
As long as you
Yes.
it's in.
You got it.
Oh man.
Just hold it.
There's no way. Like,
That's right.
there's always a way.
What did she do?
Come on, just get that little flap in.
Oh,
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be all the way. Just a little corner in there.
Both corners.
You feel like it's you effort, like it's.
I know.
Yeah.
Start with the
Rip
ones
it.
you like stand on.
Yeah.
You gotta sit on it or something.
Oh, she did it.
It's technically
It's in.
Yeah. Good job.
That'd be a comfy pillow.
I want to lay on that.
No, I can't.
Are you laying on it?
No,
Just for
just a little bit.
Okay, so let's just take let's just take a look at our pillowcase right now.
Oh.
I wouldn't mind sleeping on that.
That is hard.
Okay, so here's the thing that I always encourage teams to look at. Okay, as I said, if you keep that deliberate team objective or goal setting at the start of practice, and you come forward and you're working in practice and things are going okay, there's going to be a point where, like, if we're looking at this right now, we had the objective of getting every single pillow into that case, and that meant that Zancy stood up, she came over, and you guys just started throwing pillows in. We're not limited by the size of the pillow because like her stuffing ability was incredible. She's just stuffing. She's making those big fluffy big fluffy pillows fit. They're gonna fit. It's gonna fit, you know. And you know, every time the teams, I heard a couple of times like, no, we're good. Look at that pillowcase. Are we good?
Yeah, we good.
We're
Gucci.
perfect. One more. It looks really
Give
good.
it one more.
Oh, Jordan!
No, and what happened for Jordan?
Her fellow, she lost.
They were seeing if they could get one more pillow.
Because we forgot that.
Oh, we put it in the
So let's think about this. As I mentioned, you always have a choice, right?
Yeah.
You always have a choice. And sometimes, as we said, the objective is to get all the pillows in the pillowcase. And I heard a couple of people start to say, well, just stuff that pillow into my pillowcase. That's the kind of thinking you need as a team. Sometimes you need to change what the objective is. And sometimes it's going to be more about the players on the team than the objective. And when I talk with leadership, when I work with leadership, when I work with coaches, sometimes we stay on something with such commitment that we forget that we're actually flexible, that we could actually go, wait a minute, what if we got a different pillowcase? Could we do things differently? And would more pillows be involved? Would more people feel like they're involved? Would we have more success? And that kind of creative thinking, we should always be able to do that as a team because we always have a choice. Okay? And that's one of the frustrations with an activity like this, and I've done this a couple of times, is that we try because we have one idea. And in some cases, someone can, right? And so when I think of teams, we're gonna play with persistence. And so an athlete goes, okay, I'm gonna persist. And I've seen this a couple of times that a player has one way to do something and they don't change it. And they start to get frustrated because they're not having success. And a teammate comes over to them and says, hey, why don't you try this? And in that moment, the player goes, no. And they stay with their idea, and even though they're not having success. It's at that moment that the relationship between the two players is going to be more important than whether or not that one player is having success or not having success. And as Ansi made every effort possible to get all those pillows into that pillowcase, okay, there's a point where she went, no. That no part. It's not her failure. It's a team's ability to go, what can we do differently? And so that stuff is all done in practice, ladies. And hearing your coaches, hearing your leaders, being flexible, all super important when it comes to being able to accept that role on a team. Okay? That in this case, in this specific situation, in this moment, we need you to do these things. And I think of players that came off the bench on provincial teams or national teams, and they play for 2 minutes and they're back on the bench, but we needed 100% effort for 2 minutes. And that's what the player gave us. And then we've seen players come off the bench for 2 minutes and they go 0 for 5 and they commit 2 fouls, and the coach pulls them off, and the player says to the coach, it's your fault because I don't have enough time to get in my groove. And the coach says, if I gave you more time, I would have 0 for 10 and four fouls. And so now we have conflict, not because we have opposing ideas, but because we have a player who's not preparing themselves for the challenge that the role demands are, and a coach who's concerned that the player isn't choosing to prepare. We don't have conflict because we want it. We have perspective. So as athletes in practice, try to adopt the unique characteristics of your pillow. Make sure that you have the pillow you want, not the pillow you feel you have to have. But in any situation, competition, drills, those kinds of things, trust that what that situation provides, that objective provides, what the team strives for, find a way so that your pillow fits with that objective. Because if we took those pillows out, we put new pillows in, and we only had to put 5 in there, it'd be pretty easy to do. Okay? So always work and know that on the moment, you might need the flat, the flat, deflated, thin, small, flexible pillow. And in other moments, we might want the big, fluffy pillow. Okay? But we need to know. Is that making sense, ladies?
Yes.
Right. I always want to save time for questions in case there are questions that we didn't talk about specifically within our content. Are there any questions at all that you have for today?
Anyone have questions?
How long have you done this for? Like, been a sports psychologist?
I have been a sports psychologist for 8 years and in the counseling 15. Good question.
Any other questions?
Why did you start?
Professionally, because it's a fascinating field to be in. But also personally, I made it to college football, and I still think that there were really significant gaps in my own play. And I became very interested in what some of those gaps were, and that's what drove me in this kind of direction. I don't know if I would have listened to a me at that time. I'm not sure. I'd like to think I would have. But I know how valuable this part of the game is, and I know how often it gets neglected. And so my passion is to help players and coaches and teams tighten things up so that they can have more success. Good question.
No other questions? What's the best way from a coaching standpoint or as a player standpoint to trigger this, if you see that things aren't going this way as we've learned from you, how do we bring it all back together?
I think it's a good question, Coach. As we do sort of on a new play, we might go up to a whiteboard, a chalkboard, and write out the play and talk about the roles in the play, and encourage the athlete to specifically look at their role within the play, and then see the bigger picture of the whole play, so they know that even without the ball, I have a huge responsibility in the play. I may never get the ball in the play, but if I don't do my job, somebody else isn't going to be able to do their job, and we're not going to be successful. And so we start by putting it out there and making it, transparent. And I feel like this is the same thing for this. If we have individual objectives, and I've had teams do this as well, is that, I walk in to a practice and I say, I'm going to work on effort today. I'm going to work on persistence. I'm going to work on communication. I'm going to work on leadership, and put them all on the board and make sure that throughout practice that players are drawing attention to when athletes are achieving it. You're going to see more and more athletes striving to achieve the mental traits as often as you'll achieve the physical traits. And then I always encourage teams to evaluate how well they're doing it. If persistence or determination, in Tia's team, determination was such a big one, that if you're going to evaluate yourself on determination, then don't walk into a practice without it being right in the forefront of your mind, that you put it on the whiteboard. This is going to be a determined team. And, if you see times when the team isn't demonstrating determination, then stop, draw attention to it, ask what needs to change, and get back to work. So it's a 5 or 10 second pause. So the team gets better and better and better at recognizing moments when that isn't happening, and they can solve those problems for themselves at higher and higher levels of stress, like in competition. But I think just as deliberate as we do a new play, we'd want to make sure that these traits are being done as deliberately as well.